My husband left me for his mistress. He smirked, "You'll be nothing without me." But he had no idea about my hidden assets. Here's the story. Throwaway account, obviously. Longtime lurker, first time poster. Need to get this off my chest and see if I went too far. Prepare for a wild ride, Reddit. So I, 38F, was married to Chad, 42M, and yes, his name really did suit him, for 15 glorious, not years. We had the whole picture-perfect suburban life. Big house in a fancy neighborhood, two adorable kids, Lily, 12F, and Ethan, 9M, golden retriever named Max, the works. Chad was the big shot breadwinner, some kind of executive VP of strategic financial synergies at a financial firm. The title alone should tell you enough. I was the stay-at-home mom, running the household like a well-oiled machine. Basically, I was living the life Chad thought he wanted, a carefully curated image of success. For years, I played the part. I made the organic, gluten-free lunches, volunteered at the kids' school, hosted the PTA meetings, and smiled politely at Chad's work functions while he schmoozed with clients and colleagues. I even pretended to be interested in his endless ramblings about synergy, market capitalization, and optimizing shareholder value. He'd drone on, oblivious to the glazed-over look in my eyes. Inside, though, I was slowly dying of boredom and a creeping sense of wrongness, a profound disconnect between the life I was living and the life I craved. The first red flag? Probably around year 10. The late nights at the office started getting later. The business trips to nondescript cities became more frequent. The phone calls he'd take in the other room, his voice dropping to a low conspiratorial whisper, were a dead giveaway. Classic, right? I'm not stupid, Reddit. I'd seen enough Lifetime movies to know the drill. But more importantly, I trusted my instinct. But I didn't confront him. Not yet. I started observing, gathering intel. Like a goddamn suburban Nancy Drew, but with less plaid and more suppressed fury. I noticed the little things. The new cologne he started wearing, way too musky for his usual clean and corporate scent. It practically screamed midlife crisis. The way he suddenly cared about his appearance. Gym membership he actually used and obsessively checked himself in every reflective surface. The password he put on his phone. Previously, we had an open phone policy. Ha, the audacity. Then came the coup de grace, the text messages. I saw a notification pop up on his phone one night while he was in the shower from Tiffany B, with a suggestive winky face, that absolute a-hole. It read, "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. XOXO." My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, the air completely knocked out of me, but I didn't react. Not outwardly. I calmly put the phone back down, my mind racing, already formulating a plan. I needed proof. I needed undeniable, irrefutable evidence. So I did what any self-respecting, about-to-be-scorned wife with a plan would do. I snooped. And oh boy, did I find a treasure trove of filth. Explicit texts, photos, the whole shebang. Tiffany was, predictably, much younger, early 20s, I guessed. Blonde, and from what I could gather, a fitness influencer. I roll so hard I almost pulled a muscle. Chad was clearly having his midlife crisis a few years early, and with all the subtlety of a wrecking ball. The confrontation was anticlimactic in a soul-crushingly pathetic way. I waited until the kids were asleep, then confronted him in our meticulously decorated kitchen. The scent of freshly baked organic, gluten-free cookies, for the school bake sale naturally, still lingering in the air, a stark contrast to the toxicity about to unfold. One day I told Chad, my voice deceptively calm, "We need to talk." Chad. Chad, looking up from his phone, a smug look on his face, scrolling through what I later found out to be Tiffany's Instagram, asked, "What is it, honey? Did you burn the organic quinoa again?" He didn't even bother to look me in the eye. I held up the phone, my hands steady despite the rage boiling inside me, showing the screenshots of his many texts to Tiffany. His face went from smug to pale in about 0.5 seconds. He stammered, tried to deny it, his usual confidence completely evaporated, then quickly switched to the classic, "It's not what it looks like" defense. Oh, really? Because the harmless flirting includes detailed descriptions of what you want to do to her, anatomical specifics I won't repeat, and several photos of you not wearing your wedding ring in a hotel room that definitely wasn't booked for a business trip. I said, raising an eyebrow, my voice dripping with icy sarcasm. He then went full-on asshole. The smirk returned, but this time it was crueler, laced with contempt. He tried to gaslight me, stating, "You're imagining things, honey. You're stressed. Maybe you should see someone. You are spending too much time by yourself." Then in a turn of events, Chad said, "Fine, I'm leaving you. I'm in love with Tiffany. She understands me. She appreciates my drive, my ambition. You're just a boring housewife. You're nothing without me. You'll be crawling back, begging me to take you back. You have no skills, no prospects." He spat the words out like venom. That Reddit was the moment I snapped. Not outwardly. Oh no. I maintained my composure, a chilling calm settling over me. Inside, though, a switch flipped. The dutiful, clueless housewife persona I'd been playing for years shattered like dropped china. And underneath, pure, unadulterated strategic rage. He thought I was nothing. He thought I was dependent. He thought I was weak. He was so wrong. See, here's the thing Chad didn't know. Years ago, my grandmother, a wonderfully eccentric woman who made her fortune in, let's just say, unconventional ways involving a chain of highly successful laundromats and some very shrewd real estate investments, passed away and left me a substantial inheritance. Like, substantial. We're talking millions. Reddit. Millions. Enough to make Chad's executive VP salary look like pocket change. I'd always been frugal, even before the inheritance. It was just how I was raised. Waste not, want not. And Chad, with his I'm the provider complex, his constant need to be the big man, had absolutely no idea. I'd kept it completely separate, invested it wisely, and let it grow. I'd consulted with financial advisors, diversified my portfolio, and basically become a silent financial powerhouse, all while Chad was busy bragging about his stock options. But that wasn't all. I also had a secret side hustle. While Chad was busy climbing the corporate ladder, or more accurately, slithering up it, I'd started an online business selling handcrafted, well, let's just say adult-themed items. Think luxurious fabrics, intricate designs, and a touch of playful naughtiness. My best seller was a Velvet Midnight Whispers set that consistently got 5-star reviews, with customers praising its exquisite craftsmanship and ability to ignite passion. Don't judge Reddit, it's a niche market and it's lucrative. It was completely separate from our joint accounts, and Chad had absolutely no clue. He thought I spent my days baking cookies and watching daytime TV. The irony was almost too delicious, a secret I savored. While he was lecturing about fiscal responsibility, I was mastering SEO, digital marketing, and supply chain management. I even outsourced some production to a women's cooperative in Bali, empowering others as I empowered myself. So when Chad strutted out of the house that night, suitcase in hand, confident that he was leaving me destitute and broken, he was making a huge mistake. He was, in fact, sealing his own doom, signing his own metaphorical death warrant with that arrogant smirk. I let him leave. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just watched him go, a cold, hard smile playing on my lips, a smile that promised retribution. Then I went full scorched earth. I didn't just hire a lawyer, I hired the lawyer. Think Miranda from Sex and the City, but with even sharper teeth, a killer instinct, and a reputation for leaving opposing counsel trembling in their overpriced Italian loafers. Her name was Susan, and she was legendary in local divorce circles, a legal shark in a designer suit. I walked into her office, laid out the situation, and handed her a thick binder filled with printed out texts, emails, photos, and meticulously organized financial records, my own. Of course, Chad's were a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Susan, after flipping through the binder, a predatory glint in her eyes, a look that said, "This is going to be fun," said, "Oh, honey, this is beautiful. He's going to regret this for the rest of his miserable, pathetic life." I told her I wanted everything: the house, the kids, the dog, his 401k, a hefty chunk of his future earnings, and most importantly, his dignity. Susan's smile grew, a terrifyingly beautiful expression, and she affirmed that she could get it done and she'd enjoy every minute of it. I changed the locks on the house, installed a state-of-the-art security system with cameras everywhere, motion sensors, the works. I wanted to be able to see him coming from a mile away, and got a restraining order against Chad. He tried to come back the next day to get his things and was met by 2 very large, very intimidating security guards, ex-military types who looked like they could crush a walnut with their biceps. The look on his face, that deflated, panicked expression, was priceless. A small, petty victory, but a satisfying one nonetheless. I meticulously documented everything. Every text, every call, every pathetic email he sent, which were increasingly pathetic and desperate, filled with crocodile tears and empty promises of change. I saved everything, backed it up in multiple locations on encrypted hard drives, and made sure Susan had copies. I was building a fortress of evidence. Susan recommended a PI, a grizzled ex-cop named Mike, who looked like he could take down a grizzly bear with his bare hands, and who had a network of informants that would make the CIA jealous. I hired him to follow Chad and Tiffany. The results were illuminating, to say the least. Let's just say they weren't spending their time discussing philosophy and reading poetry in quaint cafes. The photos Mike got were incriminating, to say the least. Romantic dinners paid for with the company card, weekend getaways to luxury resorts also on the company dime, and one particularly damning photo of Tiffany sporting a very expensive diamond bracelet that Chad had definitely not declared on his taxes. This was the fun part. I subpoenaed all of Chad's financial records going back years, and oh boy, did we find some dirt. It turned out Mr. High-Powered Executive, Mr. Ethical Business Practices, had been siphoning money from his company accounts to fund his lavish lifestyle with Tiffany. Fancy dinners, expensive gifts, weekend getaways, a luxury apartment for his little fitness influencer, all on the company dime. He'd even used company resources, his assistant, his company car, to facilitate his affair, chauffeuring Tiffany around like she was some kind of celebrity. He even tried to claim that the winky face emoji Tiffany used was a company-wide standard to show friendly relations between coworkers. I forwarded all of this information, the detailed expense reports, the bank statements, the photographic evidence, to his company's HR department, and, for good measure, to the board of directors. Anonymously, of course. I wanted to watch the fireworks from a safe distance. Let's just say they were not pleased. The subsequent internal investigation was swift and brutal. The divorce proceedings were brutal. Chad predictably hired a fresh out of law school, wet behind the ears lawyer who was clearly out of his depth, a kid who looked like he'd just learned how to tie his own tie. Susan, on the other hand, was a shark, a legal predator circling her prey. She eviscerated Chad and his hapless lawyer in court, dismantling their arguments with surgical precision. I demanded everything, full custody of the kids, which was a no-brainer given Chad's extracurricular activities and increasingly erratic behavior. The house, a significant chunk of his assets, including his precious 401k, which he'd always lorded over me, spousal support, child support, and reimbursement for all the money he'd stolen from the company, which, by this point, he'd been spectacularly fired for, escorted out of the building by security. The trial was a spectacle, a public humiliation for Chad. Susan presented the evidence. The texts, the photos, the financial records, the PI's report, a mountain of damning proof. Chad's lawyer tried to argue that I was a gold digger and that I'd trapped him into marriage, that I'd somehow orchestrated this entire elaborate scheme to ruin him. It was pathetic, a desperate attempt to deflect blame. Chad's lawyer tried to subpoena my therapist, claiming I was mentally unstable. Susan shut him down immediately, filing a motion to quash and accusing them of bad faith litigation tactics. The judge, a stern-faced woman who clearly had zero tolerance for bullshit and who seemed to be enjoying Chad's downfall immensely, wasn't buying it. To Chad's lawyer, her voice dripping with disdain. "Counselor, are you seriously suggesting that your client's blatant infidelity, his financial malfeasance, his complete and utter betrayal of his wife and family are somehow the fault of his wife? Are you actually trying to paint her as the villain here?" Shuddering, sweating profusely. "Well, Your Honor, we believe that Mrs. Name had ulterior motives, that she planned this all along." Jumping in, her voice sharp and cutting. "Objection, Your Honor. Speculation and completely baseless. My client has been a devoted wife and mother for 15 years, while Mr. Chad has been engaging in a pattern of deceitful and illegal behavior, a pattern of lies and manipulation that has caused irreparable harm to his family and his career." The judge sustained the objection with a look that could curdle milk. It went on like this for days. Susan systematically dismantled Chad's entire life, piece by piece, exposing his lies, his hypocrisy, his utter lack of character. It was glorious, a masterclass in legal warfare. In the end, I won. Everything. Full custody, the house, a huge settlement, alimony, child support, the works. Chad was left with practically nothing. He was fired from his job, living in a crummy studio apartment that smelled faintly of desperation and instant ramen, and working some dead-end job to make ends meet, barely able to afford his court-ordered child support payments. And the best part? Tiffany, the fitness influencer, dumped him faster than you can say expired protein shake. Turns out, she wasn't interested in a broke, unemployed, middle-aged man with a history of cheating and embezzlement. Shocking, I know. She'd moved on to her next victim, a wealthy, much older businessman. Apparently, she had a very specific type. He still thinks I'm living off his alimony. He has no idea about my inheritance or my online business. He has no idea that I'm actually wealthier than he ever was, that I could buy and sell him 10 times over. That knowledge is my private, delicious secret. Update 1. Wow. Reddit, I did not expect this post to blow up like this. Thanks for all the support and the virtual high fives. I'm feeling a lot better just getting this all off my chest, finally releasing the pent-up anger and frustration. A few quick updates. Lily and Ethan are doing surprisingly well. They're adjusted to the new living situation, no more Chad, and they're thriving in therapy. They're stronger, more resilient than I ever gave them credit for. They know their dad messed up, that he made some terrible choices, but I'm trying my best to keep them out of the ugliness as much as possible. They still see him supervised visits, of course, at a neutral location, but it's strained, to say the least. He tries to act like the fun dad, showering them with cheap gifts, but they see through it. They see the sadness in his eyes, the desperation. He's still trying to contact me, sending pathetic emails filled with crocodile tears and empty promises. He's begging me to take him back and forgive him, promising he's a changed man. He even sent one rambling email claiming he'd found God and was going to become a monk. Yeah, right. Blocked and reported every single one. From what I hear, thanks Mike the PI, who I still keep on retainer, you never know. She's already moved on to her next victim, a wealthy, much older businessman with a penchant for yachts and younger women. Apparently, she has a type, a very predictable, very lucrative type. Good riddance. I hope she takes him for everything he's worth. My online business is booming. The adult-themed items are flying off the virtual shelves. I'm actually considering expanding, maybe even opening a brick-and-mortar store. Who knew revenge could be so profitable, so empowering? While Tiffany posts her filtered photos, I'm building something real, something lasting. I am good. I'm rediscovering myself, exploring things I never had time for before. I am good. I'm rediscovering myself, exploring things I never had time for before. I started taking pottery classes, which are surprisingly therapeutic. There's something incredibly satisfying about shaping clay, molding it into something beautiful and functional, a stark contrast to the chaos Chad created. I even sold a few pieces at a local craft fair. Update 2. Okay, Reddit, you won't believe this. The audacity of this man knows no bounds. Chad is now suing me. Yes, you read that right. The man who cheated on me, stole from his company, gaslighted me for years, and left me for a younger woman is now suing me. Apparently, he's claiming I defrauded him during the divorce. He's saying I hid assets, the irony is almost painful, and manipulated him into signing the settlement agreement. His lawyer, a new one, even more incompetent than the last, if that's even possible, I'm starting to think Chad has a talent for finding the bottom of the legal barrel, sent Susan a rambling, incoherent legal document, a masterpiece of typos and grammatical errors filled with accusations so ludicrous they were almost comical. Susan literally laughed out loud when she read it, a hearty, booming laugh that echoed through her office. On the phone, still chuckling, wiping a tear from her eye. This is amazing. He's actually trying to claim he's the victim? After everything he's done? The sheer unadulterated audacity, it's almost impressive in a pathetically delusional way. So what do? Do we even have to respond to this garbage? Oh, we respond, honey. We respond with fire. We countersue for harassment, defamation, malicious prosecution, and anything else I can think of. We're gonna bury him. We're gonna make him wish he'd never crawled out from under whatever rock he's been hiding under. And that's exactly what we did. We filed a countersuit that was 10 times more damning than his pathetic attempt, a legal masterpiece crafted by Susan. We included all the evidence from the divorce, every text, every photo, every financial record, plus new evidence of his continued harassment. Those pathetic emails, the attempts to contact the kids directly, showing up at Lily's soccer games and yelling incoherent things from the sidelines, the creepy toy with the hidden recording device, all documented, all meticulously cataloged. But wait, there's more. Chad's parents, who up until this point had been surprisingly supportive of me, even sending me flowers and a card after Chad initially left, saying, "I'm so sorry, dear, you deserve so much better. He's always been difficult," are now begging me to drop the lawsuit. They're saying it's ruining his life, as if he hadn't already done that himself, and that he's learned his lesson. Chad's mom, on the phone, her voice cracking with sobs. "Please, my name, have mercy. He's our son. We know he's made mistakes, terrible mistakes, but he doesn't deserve this. He's not well, please." Me coldly, my voice devoid of any emotion. He made his choices. He has to live with the consequences. And frankly, he does deserve this. Every single bit of it. He tried to destroy me, to break me. He failed. He underestimated me, and now he's paying the price. I paused, letting my words sink in. He should have thought about the consequences before he decided to betray his family and steal from his company. I hung up. The betrayal by his parents stung, but it only hardened my resolve. Update 3. We won. Again, big time. It was a complete and utter victory, a legal slam dunk. The judge not only threw out Chad's ridiculous lawsuit with prejudice, meaning he can't file it again, but he also ruled in our favor on the countersuit. Chad now owes me even more money, including all my legal fees, damages for harassment, defamation, and emotional distress. He's basically financially ruined, a pauper living in a squalid apartment, his dreams of a lavish lifestyle with Tiffany completely shattered. And the cherry on top, the judge, clearly fed up with Chad's antics and his blatant disregard for the law, hinted strongly that Chad might be facing criminal charges for some of his financial shenanigans during the marriage, specifically the embezzlement from his former company. Turns out, siphoning money from your company, creating dummy corporations, and laundering funds through offshore accounts is a big no-no. Who knew? I knew, Susan knew, and now the authorities knew. His parents have completely disowned him. They sent me a long, heartfelt apology, a handwritten letter filled with remorse and shame, saying they were ashamed of his behavior, that they couldn't believe their son had become such a monster. I actually felt a twinge of sympathy for them, but only a twinge. They had enabled him for years, turning a blind eye to his flaws, and now they were reaping the consequences. I've also been contacted by several other women who were in similar situations, women who had been cheated on, manipulated, and financially abused by their husbands. They said my story gave them the strength to leave, to fight back, to reclaim their lives. That Reddit made all of this worthwhile. Knowing that I helped even one other woman escape a toxic relationship, that my story had resonated with someone, makes me feel like I've done something good, something meaningful. Update 4. Chad is officially spiraling, his descent into self-destruction accelerating. He's now a gas station cashier, apparently, because that's all he can find with his tarnished reputation and criminal record looming. He can't even hold down that job, though from what Mike tells me, he's had several write-ups for being rude to customers. He tried to get a restraining order against me. Yes, you read that correctly. The man who cheated on me stole from his company, harassed me and my children, and tried to sue me into oblivion. Claimed I was harassing him by existing, I guess, by thriving, by succeeding, by living my best life while he wallowed in misery. The hearing was a farce, a pathetic display of desperation. Chad showed up in court looking disheveled and desperate, his clothes wrinkled, his hair unkempt, his eyes filled with a mixture of fear and resentment. His lawyer, yet another new one, I've lost count at this point, he's going through lawyers faster than Tiffany went through sugar daddies, tried to argue that I was a threat to him, that my success was somehow a form of psychological warfare. The judge, the same one from the divorce and the countersuit, she clearly knows Chad's BS by now and has developed a distinct lack of patience for him, was having none of it. Judge, to Chad, with a look of utter disdain, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Mr. Chad's last name, let me get this straight. You are seeking a restraining order against her? The woman you cheated on? the woman you tried to financially ruin, the woman you are currently indebted to for a substantial sum of money. You are currently under restraining order to stay away from her. You are the one who has been harassing her. You are the one who has been engaging in a pattern of abusive behavior, both during and after your marriage. This request is denied, and I'm warning you, one more stunt like this, one more frivolous lawsuit, one more attempt to harass your ex-wife, and you'll be facing contempt of court charges and possibly a return trip to jail, this time for a much longer stay. Chad slunk out of the courtroom, defeated, his shoulders slumped, his spirit broken. It was a beautiful sight, but it gets worse. A few days later, I got a notification from my state-of-the-art security system, the one I'd installed after Chad's first pathetic attempt to retrieve his belongings. Someone was trying to break into my house. My heart pounded in my chest. I checked the cameras, and there he was. It was Chad. Update 5. The police arrived within minutes, sirens wailing, lights flashing, a scene straight out of a movie. Chad was arrested on the spot, caught red-handed, trying to pry open a window with a crowbar, his face a mask of frustrated rage and desperation. He's now facing charges for burglary, violating the restraining order, attempted breaking and entering, and probably a few other things they'll tack on, given his history. He was held without bail. The judge, the same long-suffering judge from the previous hearings, was not messing around this time. She looked at Chad with a mixture of disgust and pity and remanded him to custody without a second thought. This is it. Reddit. He's finally going to jail. He's finally facing real consequences for his actions. Update 6. The trial for the attempted break-in was swift, a mere formality. The prosecution had a solid case, an airtight case, with more evidence than you could shake a stick at. There was crystal clear video evidence from my security cameras showing Chad attempting to break into my house, his face clearly visible. Fingerprints on the window and the crowbar, a perfect match to Chad's. Testimony from the arresting officers describing Chad's demeanor and his pathetic attempts to deny what he was doing. My testimony, detailing his history of harassment and abuse, painting a picture of a man obsessed with control and revenge. Testimony from Mike the PI, laying out the details of Chad's pathetic post-divorce spiral, as well as his planning of this for months. Chad tried to play the victim, claiming he was desperate and just wanted to see his kids, that he was confused and didn't know what he was doing. His lawyer, a public defender this time, he's clearly run out of money, having exhausted all his resources on his frivolous lawsuits and incompetent legal representation, was completely outmatched. He tried to argue that Chad was suffering from mental distress, but it was a weak defense, easily demolished by Susan, who was acting as a friend of the court. She couldn't officially represent me in a criminal case, but she was there providing support and making sure Chad's lawyer didn't try any funny business. It turned out, through Mike's continued investigation and Susan's legal digging, that Chad had planned this break-in and the embezzlement for months, if not years. He had kept detailed notes, sketches of my house's layout, and even a list of items he wanted to steal, including, pathetically, some of my grandmother's jewelry, which he knew was valuable. He'd become obsessed with getting what was rightfully his, a delusional fantasy fueled by his own bitterness and resentment. It was pathetic, a sad and desperate attempt by a broken man to regain some semblance of control over a life he had systematically destroyed. Update 7. The jury didn't even need to deliberate for long. They came back after less than an hour, guilty on all counts. The verdict was read and a wave of relief washed over me. The judge sentenced him to 5 years in prison. 5 years read it. He also has to pay me back every single penny he stole, plus interest, a sum that had grown considerably over the years. He was ordered to have no contact with me or the children, ever again. His parents are, understandably, devastated, but they've finally accepted that their son is a lost cause, that he's beyond redemption. They've stopped contacting me, their silence a testament to their grief and shame. Tiffany, long gone. She's probably on to her next sugar daddy by now. Her Instagram feed filled with pictures of exotic locations and expensive champagne, a testament to her shallow, materialistic existence. And me? I'm feeling relief and a profound sense of closure. This chapter of my life, this nightmare is finally over. The weight that had been pressing down on me for years has finally lifted. Several women reach out to me online and in person. They thank me and say that hearing about what happened to Chad gave them the strength to leave their cheating, abusive spouses to fight for their own happiness and independence. That, more than anything, makes all of this worthwhile. Update 8. Chad tried to get parole early. Of course he did. He claimed he was rehabilitated, that he'd found God again, and that he was deeply remorseful for his actions. I fought it tooth and nail. I submitted a powerful victim impact statement detailing all the ways he'd terrorized me and my children, the emotional and psychological damage he'd inflicted, the fear he'd instilled in us. I also provided evidence of his continued criminal activity while in prison. Apparently, he'd been involved in some kind of contraband smuggling ring trying to sell stolen goods to other inmates. He hadn't changed one bit. The parole board denied his request, swiftly and decisively. He's staying put, right where he belongs. His lawyer, the hapless public defender, quit. He can't even afford a public defender anymore. He's completely alone, representing himself in his increasingly desperate and futile legal battles. He is now facing more charges because of illegal activities while in prison, adding years to his sentence. He's digging his own grave deeper and deeper. He has no lawyer. He has no money. He has no hope. I met Mark, 40M, a few months ago, completely by chance, at a pottery class of all places. He's kind, funny, intelligent, patient, and the complete opposite of Chad in every way. He's a software engineer, a genuinely good person with a gentle soul and a warm smile. He's wonderful with Lily and Ethan, and they adore him. They see him as a father figure, a positive male influence in their lives. Chad, meanwhile, is still in jail. And he's still trying to contact me, sending rambling, incoherent letters from prison, filled with self-pity, delusional ramblings, and continued attempts to manipulate me. They go straight into the trash unread. I refuse to give him any more of my energy. Update 9. I said yes. Mark proposed. It was a quiet, intimate proposal, just the two of us under the stars. He didn't have a fancy ring, just a simple, beautiful band that he'd made himself. It was perfect. We got married. It was a small, intimate ceremony with close friends and family, a celebration of love and new beginnings. Lily and Ethan were my maid of honor and best man, their faces beaming with happiness. It was perfect, a day filled with joy and laughter, a stark contrast to the darkness of the past. We're currently honeymooning in tropical location, a beautiful, secluded island paradise. Life is good. Life is amazing. Chad, still in jail, still miserable, still utterly irrelevant. He's become a footnote in my life, a distant, unpleasant memory. Mark and I are going to have a baby. Lily and Ethan are so excited they can't wait to have another sibling, a new member of our growing family. They've already started picking out names and decorating the nursery. Chad is still incarcerated. He's a distant, unpleasant memory, a cautionary tale. I'm living my best life, surrounded by love and happiness, a life filled with purpose and meaning. I'm proof that there's life after divorce, after abuse, after betrayal. I'm proof that you can rise from the ashes, stronger and more resilient than ever before. I'm proof that you can take something bad and turn it into something good. And to all the Chads out there, karma's a bitch, and she's got a really good lawyer. Thanks for everything, Reddit. You've been my virtual support group through all of this. My anonymous confidants, I couldn't have done it without you. And to answer the original question one last time, no, I am not the asshole. I am a survivor. I am a warrior. I am a woman who took back her life. If you thought that was crazy, hit that like button and subscribe for more wild stories. And if you didn't quite enjoy it, feel free to hit the dislike. Your feedback means a lot. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think, or share your own experiences. And don't forget to check out my other videos for more insane tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.